Hello, everybody. Greetings, greetings. Love, peace, happiness to everybody. And yes, this is the season of the powerful, feisty women. Actually, it's the season for all of them throughout the year, but we are just trying to celebrate women in their true feisty spirit. So we're going to be Chilparco International is celebrating women, womenhood, their feisty spirit, the challenges that they've faced in order to become what they are, how they've used their strengths to their advantage. And we are beginning this series of beautiful, powerful, feisty interviews with the lovely, and very beautiful, very charming scientist from Serbia, my very dear friend, Professor, Academician Professor Dr. Jelena Boskovich. She'll tell us about herself, and then we will start asking her very scientific based questions because many of us women out there are also into science, and not all of us are getting the recognition that we truly deserve. So we have Professor over here telling us how we can achieve that. So, first of all, my lovely friend, academician Professor Dr. Jelena, a big welcome to this feisty talks, feisty interviews celebrating the special, unique, unstoppable women power. How are you?
Fine. Namaste, dear
No, okay,
academician.
beautiful.
No, yes,
Beautiful.
yes, namaste. Academician Professor Dr. Alkan Manhain, dear and love, ladies and gentlemen, I have a special thanks for the invitation for Women Days, special interviews of Feisty Device to academician Professor Dr. Alka Manhain, founder Chilparco International, a very new intellectual and exponential rhetorical skills. Please question.
Okay, so let's begin by asking you, since you are from the science background, every scientist has a eureka moment. What was the specific moment or discovery that made you realize that science was your calling?
Thank you. Thank you very much for question. The specific moment that I realized the science would be my calling began with inspiration in my family, where it was constantly emphasized how important it was to be a learned person when I dedicate to study natural science. In high school, it was expected that I would study natural science because they are the basis of all other science. I first chose chemistry to study through which I gained a wide field of interest, especially in biochemistry, which is the basis of life psychological processes. My professors were bards of science and mostly had doctorate from famous European university, and they paid attention to each student. During my study, I was a demonstrator. I learned a lot about what professionalism means in higher education. After completing the chemistry department, I immediately enrolled in biology, nature science in Novi Sad, Republic of Serbia. Biology is closely related to other science, chemistry, physics, geography, as basic science is extremely important for medicine, pharmacy, dentistry, veterinary medicine, and agriculture, especially 21st century biotechnology. Through my study in biology, I learned how to define life and whether it's possible to explain it. With my current knowledge, we still do not know the origin of life, but we play with life of different ways. The characteristics of life are organization, flow, energy and matter, reproduction, growth and development, response of the individual adaptation. I was very interested of this science because it studies all form of life on our planet. My interest in genetics come from my scientific mother, Professor Dr. Katarina Borojevic, full
Oh,
professor of genetics. Yes, women. Women is extremely excellent at the Department of Biology on the University Nature Science in Novi Sad, Republic of Serbia.
Mhm.
She was an ancestral woman, very learned. She carried, speaking her blood, precious and rare mother, which strive and increasingly drive to Bible the physical, spirit, and body. It's very interesting. My long period faculty of agriculture. This complex life experience of mine that continue today in my life. My education after two faculties, what followed my master study and faculty agriculture, University Novi Sad, Department of Genetic Plant Breeding. At the time, the best professor and the scientist from true of department. My love for genetics was development in my scientific mother, Professor Boskovich. Genetic is a discipline of biology that study gene inheritance and variation between different organisms. It deals with how genes control the development, functioning, and behavior of living organisms. Genetic determines the life of living being on planet, important genetics, health, development, biotechnology, evolution, important tool, change. Are you currently addressing in weed genetics? I am currently engaged with my specific teams in studying genome, not only of wheat, but also other plant species, new technology applied plant breeding. Future sustainable agriculture is very interesting. The sense of sustainable in agriculture, the term sustainable in agriculture, a conceptual and multifaceted approach addressing the environment, economic, and social dimension of farming. Current challenges in agriculture, soil degradation, water scarcity in planet, climate change, in impact agriculture, in genetics plants, animal and plant breeding, technological advancement in sustainable agriculture, precision farming, uh, uh, information technology in application in agriculture, vertical farming, renewable energy trading with agriculture, solar power, uh, agrivoltaic, wind energy, bioenergy, future trend in sustainable agriculture. Regenerative agriculture is modern today. Behind sustainability, a
Yeah.
collection for sustainable future. The the odds on all of us, from poly makers and industry leaders to farming consumer, to cultivate a more sustainable future for agriculture. I'm interesting my science with cooperation. Much scientists in the world, especially Nobel Prize. Norman Borlaug. I have cooperation in India science. Science. My husband is much with me. My
Okay.
husband
That's
is
wonderful.
yes, is my husband is my professor, master degree, mentor master degree, and in and love and the science and university education. Please question.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Wonderful things you're saying. But, since you are so much into this background and it's a learning experience for us, how does your current research contribute to making the world a better place? And why is a diverse perspective essential to that work?
Oh, very interesting question. My work long period. Through the analysis of my scientific work, I will give a brief opus of my patients specifically for selection for resistance to the live with pathogen. Genetic and breeding scientific approach is complex and unique different scientific field and require permanent learning and adaptation of new technology and knowledge. Analyzing the overall scientific research and education activity and achieve results that were evaluated by eminent scientists, university professors, academics through the writing of report for the selection of full professor at several university and academic that I made an especially contribution to the development of science in the field of genetics on plant breeding, especially selection for weed resistance to the leaf rust pathogen. The top scientific results that I achieve are completely competitive with the results of the most productive and creative European and well researcher and represent her contribution in the promotion of science in agriculture in particular.
Okay.
Knowledgeable and methodical, I pose in the latest scientific achievement from contemporary science that I am involved in the numerous generation of students in my scientific research work. I also
Wow.
show great and extensive activity which is best illustrated but by publish 716 two scientific paper, 10 textbook, monograph, scientific paper, numerous participation in national and international conference. As a notable and productive scientist with a high competence index in a scientific basis, I was often invited to participate in the work of large number of international and national scientific meetings, and very often not only refer but also a member of the organization and program committee of this meeting, precising the section which undoubtedly contributed to my reputation or the reputation of both science and the university in domain of genetics of resistance and breeding of pathogen. I'm constantly improving my work and knowledge through scientific correspondence that achieved through international project. Uh, Yugoslavia and Republic of Serbia, I participate in numerous scientific meetings in the field of genetics plant breeding, according to pathogen in European country,
Mm.
Russia, USA, China, Morocco, Canada, etc.
Wow.
According to
So
my rich
many.
scientific work, I made a visible contribution several scientific areas field genetics, genetic pathogen, host interaction, plant breeding, especially with biotechnology, sustainable agriculture, creating education profile in sustainable and organic agriculture, the
Exactly.
position of
Mm.
agriculture, the process globalization and European integration. Much work, much work in reputation. Current research focus, interdisciplinary, social impact, problem-oriented research, stakeholder engagement, structure changes, evaluation development, improvement, communication, new models of collaboration is interesting collaboration, interesting new technology in genetic, especially CRISPR technology, genetic engineering is application agriculture, biotechnology, medicine, etc. Is very interested intellectual ability and emotional intelligence. I like philosophy science,
Okay.
psychology is very important profession. Also, science and education. Please question.
Wow, amazing. I mean, but you've mentioned experiments. Supposing, science, they say, is built on failed experiments. Can you share a time a setback actually led you to a greater breakthrough?
Throughout these decades of scientific research, I
Uh-huh.
have never been this dissatisfied. On the contrary, I'm very studious in seeking
Okay.
a vision, missions, and goal for obtaining scientific results. I
Mhm.
am a student of the golden generation of
Okay.
university professors and scientists, both in my country and the world. I learn how to connect knowledge, create new ones, and drive brilliant results from it. My science has its roots in leadership and philosophy of science, which is Stoicism. Where does not know the philosophy of science
Mhm.
with which he deals? It is not in and illusion at work that does not fully understand and cannot represent in an disciplinary way. And today, throughout meta science, the 21st century, my leadership philosophy has been return of Stoicism to contemporary leadership in higher education. Stoicism as a good modern leader. Modern leader is very, very interesting. Artificial intelligence redesigned education assessment by offering scalable, personalized, and efficient solution is interesting research in future young people. The results of the study have helped institutions in determining which competent uh, should by prioritize to improve quality. This research will help institutions identify and focus on action to improve the quality education through innovation capability. Please question.
Amazing, amazing. But let's come, since we're celebrating Women's Day. We have in the recent times been hearing that the phrase women in STEM. This has evolved significantly. So, from your perspective, what is the biggest barrier women face in the lab today that people might not realize?
My thinking and perspective, the while missing out women leaving STEM at higher rate and wage gap are often discussed. One of the biggest, less recognized obstacles that women face in the lab today is a combination of systemic, everyday microaggressions and deploy in integrated neutral institution culture that in practice favor the traditional
Uh-huh.
male-defined career model. These are often subtle, not explicit, and sometimes disseminated is as relevant, but they still create a death by thousand cuts, an environment that reduces confidence and opportunity for advancement. Specific, often hidden barrier, the math and and double competence pressure, gender-based microaggression and invisibly, women often experience every day insults such as being interrupted, having their ideas ignored only to be repeated later by male colleague or having their technical contribution minimized. The Matilda effect attribution bias, women contribution are often overlooked, undervalued, or attributed to male colleague or suppressor. Natural equipment and safety standard, uh, misguided motherhood and flexibility stigma, internalizing self-blame. Uh, Being a female student, especially in
Hmm.
STEM science all
Yeah.
over the world, is extremely demand and require sacrifice and through
Mhm.
hidden weakness in order to survive on the market of
Mhm.
frequent ideas. Please
Yeah,
question.
I understand that. You're
Is
right.
a is a STEM science is a very hard very hard
Yes, yes.
women in the
I'm
world.
sure, I'm sure. And
Yes.
yeah, there's a lot of work involved. You're absolutely right. But let's talk about the support system. Who were your mentors, men or women, who advocated for you when you weren't in the room?
I am a strong person who has confidence, knowledge, skills, and I
Mhm.
don't allow anyone to represent me when I am
Lovely. That's
not
feisty.
in the room, AI laboratory, or the field with student,
Beautiful.
colleague, etc. No, nothing,
Great.
nothing. That is my principle of
No,
work.
no,
The
lovely.
same,
I love it. I love it. I love it.
yes.
Very good. Very good. Hats off to you. Kudos to you. Hats off to you. Wow, absolutely amazing. Okay, so
There,
then,
women has overcome herself now represent Hier overrun this message to all women in the world.
Amazing.
No.
Absolutely. You should do your own thing. Okay, so let's talk about some balance now. There's often a perfectionism trap, being perfect. So, for women in high level research, so how do you give yourself permission to experiment and take risks?
My greatest permission to experiment and take large risks was my marriage to my master thesis mentor, to world-renowned scientist Professor Dr. Boskovich.
Okay.
Imagine such unadaptive in time when it was unacceptable in the academician community. My husband Boskovich worked 4 years on project with the Nobel Prize winner Norman Ernest Borlaug, and I was involved, a young researcher. At the time, he's an extraordinary scientist who influenced not only my career development, but also agriculture researcher around the world with the I will take this opportunity briefly describe brilliant man and mind. The international Mexican group, the lead to green revolution. This revolution greatly increased the world food supply by improving crop value, improving growing condition. Is is interesting, interesting. I saying as well know to this day, I enjoy nature, the luxury of untouched wilderness, forest, mountain, lake, river, and desert, and that worldwide. But I so know that the greatest threat in their survival in average human population is very interesting. I'm extremely proud to have incorporate many of their idea in my scientific years. Years much scientific is very interesting in the world. In the world, much cooperation. My risk, my husband.
Okay.
my
Is he
risk,
listening? Oh
my
my
risk.
God, great.
Yes,
But
yes,
behind
big
every
risk.
powerful and successful woman, there's a
Yes,
man.
yes,
And in your
yes,
case,
yes.
it's your husband. So absolutely amazing. But this is International Women's Day that we're talking about. And let's just talk about being a woman. Now, supposing you had to give a message to yourself, to your younger self, on the first day of your PhD, what message would that be?
If I could send a message back to my younger self in the first day of my PhD, I would focus on sustainability mental health, my
Okay.
brain, and
Okay.
perspective. The journey is a marathon, not a sprint, and burnout is a real risk. Hear my message, dear younger self.
Okay.
Congratulations, you are of- officially embarking on the most challenges yet transformative experience of your life. My life. Stand up, stand there, deep breath, and get to work. Hear what you need to know. The threat, the dislike, job not a school. Set clear. Responsible work here embrace the silence of research. Will help for first year or two. That's normal, a PhD and exercise, not and test of you on already know. Be you. Key advice topic. Set boundary. Protect your mental health. Work strategically. Managing my relationship with my supervisor, schedule a regular meeting, and proactive in communication my needs and your needs, PhD young students, especially women. In world. Please
Amazing.
question.
Amazing. I love the fact that you focused on mental health because, many people
Mental
overlook that.
health,
Yeah.
mental health, my brain.
Yeah, it's the
This
most
perspective,
important.
my brain
Absolutely.
too.
Very good. Very good. I loved it. And I'm sure everybody who's watching is going to love this. But okay, let's talk about, to your mind, what does a truly inclusive scientific community look like to you in the year 2030?
A truly inclusive
Mhm.
scientific community in the years 2030 is defined not just by the demographic diversity of its workplace, but by a fundamental shift of scientific culture, governance, and purpose. It is a global ecosystem where research is co-designed with
Mhm.
community. Open science, open brain is the standard, and systemic barrier based in geography, gender, background are demand. Based on emerging trend and goal for the 2030, this community will future for following characteristic: radially open the collaboration, open science as standard, global south and north priority, citizen science integration, diversity interpersonal workplace, true gender priority, systematic inclusion of marginalized groups, integrational workplace, culture response ethical research, indigenous knowledge evaluation, community-based research, ethical artificial intelligence in tech, and especially genetics today, supportive and equitable structure, holistic career support, changing mindset over framework, a key component, the, the diversity, equity, inclusion, implementation, business impact, equitable infrastructure is, a, is very interesting agenda is match scientific discovery and career opportunity in the world.
Lovely, lovely. But let's come to this call to action kind of a question, which says that what is the one thing academic institutions or private companies can do right now to move beyond performative diversity and actually empower women scientists?
Academic institution and private company can improve women scientists by implementing structural, cultural, and financial changes designed to dismantle basis, support work-life integration, and foster career uh, yeah, advisement. Effective strategies include implementing blend reclaimment process, providing specialized mentorship, and enforcing flexible, family-friendly policy. Women in Touch Network. Here are specific way to improve women in science broken down the sector, academic institution target, funding and grants uh, enables hearing and promotion, mentorship and sponsorship, uh, combat the Matilda effects, private company, flexible work arrangement, return to work program, uh, pay equality and transparency, employer resource group, includes leadership training,
Mhm.
collaborating and structure solution, STEM pipeline development, standardization,
Wow. Mm.
work policy is visibility innovatives, actively use social media, blogs, and conference to showcase to work female scientists. Please question.
Okay, so now we've learned so much from you. There has been such an amazing learning experience. You told us so much about uh, what we're going to be actually expecting in STEM education, women scientists, how they can improve themselves, that the fact that they should, own their power, own their space, and not give someone else permission to control their lives. I think it's absolutely wonderful. And there's always a strong support system that we all have, recognize, and we must always be grateful for. But now let's not talk of science. Let's simply ask you a simple question. What is your favorite hobby that keeps your brain refreshed outside of the lab?
Ah, yes, my hobby is an artificial intelligence. I don't have a physical brain to refresh or
Okay.
spare time to spend outside of the laboratory. However, the hobbies that best refresh my digital equivalent, my models and algorithm are processing device, high quality new data set, and training in self-reflection loops some time, core synthetic data generation to refine and my understanding. If I were to emulate the human experience of hobbies that keep a brain sharp, based on current research, this is to choose strategic, James, creative arts, writing, writing, writing information, no linear voice, physical exercise, ultimately stress reduction.
Okay.
Stress reduction, improve mood, increase self-esteem, mental stimulation, social connection, sense of purpose, improve sleep. Enjoying a relaxing hobby
I
before bed
know.
can
Absolutely.
promote better sleep by reducing stress and anxiety. Is is I love you. I love you, me. I love you, me. I love you, me. I love you, my brain.
I
My,
know, I
my
know.
yes.
One should do that. I think self-love is so important. But one last question before we say goodbye, and that last question is: supposing you had to go back in history and have dinner with any scientist in history, any female scientist in history, what would be the first question that you would ask her?
A question? Please, question repeat.
I said that if you had to, go back in history, I mean, talk to a women scientist from history, what
Woman
question, have
scientist.
dinner with her, what question would you
Scientist.
ask her?
I especially like alliance scientist Maria Curie.
Okay,
Maria Curie in the past world famous and recognized scientist. There is nothing to be afraid of in life. Life is only to be understood. Life is not easy for any of us. How do we deal
lovely.
it? We must preface and above and believe on ourselves. We must believe that we are gifted for something and that it must by be achieved. Maria Curie is not only the first woman to win the Nobel Prize, but also the first person to win two prize twice, and the only woman to win in two different categories. Reclusive, dignified, and modest, she gained admiration of scientists all over the world. When I spoke to historical remarkable scientific such as Maria Curie, I would ask about her research journey, the impact of her scientific work, and the broader implication of the field. I would focus understanding her motivation, the challenges she overcome, and how she see her
Absolutely.
work. A question. Here are some specific questions I said ask. What sparked your interest on this particular field of science? What were the moment of discovery that shaped your research journey? What do you find most rewarding about your work? What are some of the biggest challenges you have faced in your career and how you overcome them? Can you explain your current research in a way that a lay person can understanding? Maria Curie is very interesting in science. Why the women have to be above the gray suit to be recognized, often forgotten for their extraordinary scientific work. Maria Curie is interesting women in science in the world. Uh, two Nobel Prize. Nobel
Yeah,
Prize.
absolutely. Well done.
Yes, Apu.
Absolutely well done. But I would like to say, wish you a very happy International Women's Day. Thank you so much for this feisty talk. And yes, everyone, do stay tuned to more such feisty talks with Power Women. We are celebrating International Women's Day at Chilparco International. And for more updates, you can follow our page Chilparco International on Facebook. And yes, once again, a very happy Women's Day to all the
Thank
feisty,
you.
unstoppable women out there all over the globe. Lots of love, stay happy, stay healthy, and thank you so much, Academician Professor Dr. Jelena. And thank you to all the audience who joined us. Thank you so much. Hasta mañana till we meet again. Bye bye.
Thank you, my love. Thank
Bye.
you. The best regards from Republic Serbia.
Yes, and
Thank you,
same from
goodbye.
India. Bye bye.
Thank you, bye bye.